Hey, I'm Rob Jones and welcome to Tech Talk on LoopTV. This episode we're going to be looking at how to use loops with the Dr. Rex player in Reason to modulate other instruments and effects in order to create new and interesting sounds. For example, you might have a fairly uninteresting bass line, but want to liven it up a bit. Well, it's easy to do with Dr. Rex. Let me show you how. First, here's my bass line. Just a simple pattern, not terribly exciting. I've used this 80s synth bass patch on the Maelstrom synthesizer, and what I want to do is modulate the cutoffs of the filter sections to create the effect of more transients or peaks throughout the bass line. So a comb filter wouldn't be any good for this. This is because a comb filter affects the whole spectrum, rather than allowing you to remove a certain portion, so changing the cutoff alters the tone, but not the amount of sound you hear. A low-pass filter, on the other hand, removes all frequencies above the cutoff, so varying this cutoff over time, especially in quick bursts, has the effect of creating extra peaks in the signal. So I'm going to change filter A to low pass. So now both filters are set to this mode. Now I need to find a syncopated loop, with lots of transients, to use as my modulation source. I've chosen one from the DD Funk All-Stars Loopmasters sample CD, which I've loaded into Dr. Rex. Here's what the loop sounds like. But we're not interested in hearing the loop itself, just using it to modulate the bass line. So what we do first is press 2-track, which sequences the drums in my 2-bar loop for me, so the loop will be heard when I hit play. Now I mute those drums in the mixer. Next, I insert a Spider CV merger and splitter, Reason's device that allows you to take control voltage signals from instruments and send them to several other instruments and effects. I'm taking the Voice 1 filter envelope output from Dr. Rex and connecting it to the first input here, which creates 3 new outputs of that same signal here. If I want more, I can connect one of those to the second input here so that I now have 5 of that signal to connect anywhere in the rack. The bottom 2 here are the same signal but inverted. So I take one of these non-inverted signals and connect it to the filter modulation input on the back of Maelstrom. Then when I play the bass line, you can hear the effect it has. Then I can tweak the modulation input level on the rear panel and the 2 cutoffs to get the sound the way I want it. Now let me show you how you can take this fairly ordinary sounding bass line and turn it into a strummed rock guitar. First, feed the modulating signal from the Dr. Rex into the shift modulation input on the back of Maelstrom. This has the effect of adding some middle harmonics with each extra bass hit, but I've turned it down a little so it's not too messy. Now add the Scream 4 distortion unit and set it to fuzz. Then crank up the damage control. Now, if you bring the filter decay on Maelstrom down, which decreases the harshness of each transient, and then play with the EQ on Scream, you can really make the sound like a guitar being strummed. To take this further, you can modulate even more parameters, like the scale in the body section of Scream. This creates yet another filter envelope on top of the sound to create further contours. Playing around with the scale amount on the front and the modulation input on the rear adjusts the obviousness of this effect. If you want to reduce the tail on the end of each guitar strum even further to create a more muted guitar style effect, then you can add a filter into the rack and use Dr. Rex to modulate that. So just add the filter, then reduce the cutoff, Then connect the Dr. Rex modulating signal to the frequency control voltage input. Now we've gone from a fairly dull bass line to a hard rock guitar line in minutes. All that remains is to slap a beat behind it. In this case, another drum loop from the Funk All-Stars CD, run through a compressor and some distortion. Then you can hear we've definitely got the start of something. Hopefully now you can see that the Dr. Rex player in Reason can be used for all sorts of purposes. Not just playing audio, but also changing the sound of other instruments and devices in the Reason rack. Tune in next time when I'll be taking this one stage further to show how Matrix can be used to change one simple loop into multiple parts in your track.